And I feel this thing coming. I feel it more than she knows. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost, yeah. Contemplation only works if you've got a mind. The world's got its grasp on me, but for a moment I'ma leave it all behind. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost, yeah. Isolation keeps a man on his toes, and I feel this thing coming. I feel it more than she knows. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost in your eyes. I wanna get lost.
Ooh, that was beautiful, guys. And I was going to say, I think you might be the first group we've ever had in here who's actually got fans in the studio on their own accord. That's crazy.
Manager and producer, there you go.
That's absolutely awesome. God, you can totally tell that you're a trained classical pianist, right? Like, that's incredible.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah, so you've been playing for about 15 years or so?
Yeah,
Maybe a little
13, 14.
13,
yeah,
14?
yeah.
God, that's absolutely amazing. And so how does that understanding, do you think, influence your writing style?
Well, I suppose I did start doing classical when I was very young, but I kind of am more, I'm more jazz trained, and that does affect my writing style hugely because I love harmony, and I'm always thinking about where can I go that's strange and different and unexpected, and yeah, that informs it. And then the kind of the mood and the lyrics and the thematic material comes from the use of harmony. So if something is quite out there, then I'll think what themes can go with that, So it's, in that respect.
That's really cool. I can imagine it must be a really awesome experience as a musician, because a lot of musicians don't necessarily have that influence in their writing, so having that understanding of harmony is amazing. And you can obviously tell from your music that it really rings through in your sound.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So you released your first EP in 2017, am I right in saying that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have a new one coming soon, I'm hoping?
Yes. I got an EP coming out on September, looking at. Yeah.
That's awesome. So Lost, the track you just played, is that coming off the new EP?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And how do you think that your writing style's kind of changed from the way that you wrote in 2017 versus what you're writing on the new EP?
Oh, well, I have I have a huge, much bigger understanding of music now, but also an understanding of like not trying to overdo anything, just trying to like keep it as a cohesive, and also like talking about social topics as well on some of my tracks. So it's just more mature, really.
That's really cool. So that understanding sort of came from growing up, would you say, or is that something that you aimed to, you set out to learn yourself, or?
No, it's more experience. It's more just like just playing in bands and learning different music and trying to get grasp on like music from other cultures and just also I'm a teacher as well, and teaching music really helps with creating and being a social person. Like everything helps. Just living helps, man. But yeah, it's just I just feel like it's a different side, and it's more mature, and it's
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I was reading up on your teaching, which I find that's a really interesting statement you made, that teaching influences your creativity a lot. How does that process happen for you? Is it the people that you're teaching that influences that, or is it sort of the process of teaching?
Both.
Oh.
I found when I first started teaching, I was teaching mainly kids, and just the process of them learning, you understand a lot more about your own process of learning, right? So it affected how I would then, go about learning certain music or trying to learn skills to create. But then also being able to communicate to, especially somebody who has a limited vocabulary. But then it helps heaps. But also I teach adults as well, and that's really got its own joys, Yeah, and just having a one-on-one communication and teaching just feels so collaborative, and putting that into like a band, dynamic is really cool.
That's amazing. Gosh, that's such a cool influence to have, that sort of like unique perspective from so many different people on the one singular instrument that you're teaching them, like that's amazing. And I know that with your first EP you came up through something called OMAC, which is an Orcon based. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, sure. Well, when I was in high school, I did a competition called Stand Up, Stand Out. I went to Avondale College in Auckland.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, and I did this competition, which was in South Auckland. It was based out of a place called OMAC, Otara Music and Arts Centre. And I never really did that well in the competition. I was the only white guy, so like I was. But they got me after the competition. They said, look, we would like to help you record the CP and help you do a bit of music, and gave me some gigs, and it was really, really helpful. So I got that first EP out of that. And then also they gave me a job like last year teaching music, and that's been a huge joy as well. So
amazing. Gosh, it's awesome when you have a really supportive institution behind you at that age, and you get someone who can kind of give you those platforms and things. That's really cool. So coming through, you've obviously been playing in all different places and all different bands and things over the past year. How have you found that your live performances have been influencing your writing for the CP?
Oh, yeah. Well, I suppose you think a little bit more about how they're going to be received. Like I'm an advocate for like writing on a personal viewpoint. Like you see life through your own eyes, and I don't really want to like write for other people, but to kind of just know how they're going to react in a way is very helpful. I played in a band called The Shambles. This dude out here was the guitarist. He's not listening. Anyway,
one of your fans?
Yeah, one of my fans. There we go. And they're a very like a party band, and I hadn't played a lot of that kind of music before. It was very just like lots of people going hard, and it was really cool because you could just command the audience, with your energy. And I suppose I kind of look for that with forming this band, just like energetic people who are going to improvise and be creative, but also like show it, because it's no good just having fun and just being,
Yeah, no, totally. I think it's so, like how you perform and what you look like when performing is like, one of the most important things when you're performing live, right? Yeah. And the Shambles would, I remember, well known for their energy, man. Like you guys were crazy, right? Like that was awesome. Yeah, because you guys, you sort of disbanded as a band early this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're all working on solo projects now.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. And so do you want to play us another track from your new EP, maybe?
That sounds great. Yeah, this one's called Old School Heart. rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart. Rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart. My baby, she's stuck in her head. She's got nowhere to tread. She said, romance is dead. And I said, you ain't looking ahead. Yeah. She blames it on the people in the climate. She blames it on the attitude of those who don't feel gratitude. And I said, gotta look to ourselves. Rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart. Rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart. Rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart. Rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart. Yeah. Rocking this old school heart. Baby, don't know where to start. Rocking this old school heart.
Whew, you guys were not lying about energy with that one, were you? That was awesome. That's such a cool track. Is that coming off your new EP?
Yes, yes.
Cool. That's absolutely awesome. So with the new EP, was that something that you wrote with this group, or was that something that you sort of
No.
Cool. Worked on yourself?
Getting no credit. I kind of wrote it. I wrote it most of it last year. Or I wrote some of the songs years ago, like Deep End, which has already been released as a single. I wrote that maybe 3 years ago, and Old School Heart was written last year. Most of them were written last year, and I recorded most of them at the end of last year, and beginning of this year. And then I'm just been getting them mixed and kind of done stuff to them until now. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, when I'm writing stuff, I prefer to gig it first before recording it, because I'm a collaborative musician. Like, I hate just being in a room by myself. Like, I want to get people in to help do the parts, and and really give their own little special thing to it. And so I usually just gig it first and then get really good and then go into the studio.
Gosh, that's such an interesting process. How cool! And I suppose that's a really good way to, like, practice makes perfect and all that. If you're performing the song all the time, then when you go in to do a take in the recording studio,
yeah,
it's perfect.
And also because I only like write half the song, and then and then it like kind of organically grows with a band because you get the right people in and they'll give you something that you didn't know you needed,
Yeah.
But then they'll do it and you're like, that's what. So the stuff I wouldn't have thought of by myself,
That's awesome. So how did you come to find the wonderful group you have now?
These dudes.
These old
Just saw them walking on the street. I was like, that's my band. No, these guys are at New Zealand School of Music, Victoria. Yeah, and so I studied part-time there, and we just started jamming. Like my first day in Wellington, I jammed with this dude. So, it's cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. How do you find that the learning process of what you're doing at the School of Music helps influence what you're doing with your solo project?
For me, it's the people you meet at jazz school, any university is awesome. And the learning process is like a lot of the stuff we learn is not necessarily like gonna impact exactly what I do, but what does impact is like the process of actually learning stuff and dedication, motivation, all those skills around what you're learning. But then, obviously I play loads of arpeggios and scales and things. That does rub off. But but yeah, you can learn from anywhere, so.
That's amazing. No, it's really cool. I think there's a big influence at the moment of like bands formulated from schools like the School of Music and things that are coming through into the sort of more commercial market than what they're being taught, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that you guys have come through in a similar way. I love it.
Cheers.
Yeah. So with Deep End, that was your first single release off the EP. Yeah. Why did you choose to release that as your single out of interest?
I think. Well, I recorded some songs and realized they were all too jazzy and edgy to be like to be singles. So I went back and recorded a couple of singles, and Deep End was one of them. And I think it was because it was catchy and lots of my friends and people liked it, but also it was about something quite about things that were going on in my life at the time and real stuff. And I didn't want to just cop out and do like a light-hearted kind of single for first one.
Fair enough. That's such an interesting thought. Do you obviously put quite a bit of like personal connection into what you write? Is that kind of a priority for you in your music writing to make sure it's personal?
No, it's to make sure it's real in some way. I mean, because I don't want to be too personal, and then people are like, well, why would I even care? It's just talking about yourself all the time. But I think it's like when you're yourself and you're genuine, people feed off that, because they're also a person and can be genuine, and then it just, so it's like, I suppose, I don't know. But I also want to talk about other things and not just my life, but it helps when it's through the eyes of yourself. Yeah. Because otherwise it can just feel like you're trying to make stuff up and,
Yeah, totally. It's a fine line to walk to be genuine as a musician and to talk about yourself, and then also not to, expose things in yourself and to walk that line is quite a hard thing, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think everything's got to have a point. It's like, why am I talking about myself? Well, it's therapeutic for me, but it's also like maybe somebody's going to relate to this, and actually it will be a big thing for them as well. So I think about it like that, really. Yeah,
the why is so important. That's such a great word to use with it. The why of it. Yeah. So your lyrical writing process, because obviously you're an amazing musician and you're trained in the jazz and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How do you find the lyrical inspiration tends to come to you?
Usually I'll get the music first, and I'll just like sing some random crap, and it'll be like just weird, nothing lyrical, nothing rhymes, but there'll be a melody there, and then I'll kind of and certain consonants and vowels that sound good, and then I'll usually come up with a line that then is like, oh, what's that about? I come up with a meaning afterwards, often. And then, but sometimes that then fuels me to then write the rest of the lyrics and be like, oh, this is what it's about, and then I can streamline it. But usually it's very intuitive at first, which has its pitfalls.
Gosh, that's awesome though. I mean, of course, everything has their pitfalls, but that sounds really cool that you kind of start with the track and then put the lyrics over top. I don't know many musicians who do it kind of that way round.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, personally.
Yeah. Well,
there's
I
probably a
always
bunch.
think it's like the music has to tell the story, or give you at least the main idea, and then the lyrics are just the specifics. It's just like pinpointing it, you know. But the music should do everything, because otherwise it's just poetry, you know. So that's my views.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a beautiful quote right there.
Oh no! Don't quote it,
God.
man. Don't do that.
I love that. I'm gonna quote that for sure. Speaking of beautiful things, shall we go into your next track?
Sure. Yeah. We're gonna play Deep End, the tune that
Beautiful.
was released. Yeah.
Single release. Awesome. Take it away, team.
You talk way too much to even know where your world is headed and where you want to go. My mind's always racing, but they say I'm slow. And charts always pacing, don't wanna get that low. But now I know I'm in deep end. I'm in the deep end. With you. Your love's a combination of joy and pain. Sometimes it's overkill. But people say, what's the point if there ain't no thrill? She wants to keep on moving, and I just want to be still. Life's too short for fear, it's too short for anger. Why can't the world just chill? I'm in the deep end. With you. I'm in the deep end. With you. And I know you were broken. Feel like your youth was stolen. And I know that you are broken. deep end, the deep end, the deep end with you.
That was beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. That was a gorgeous, gorgeous track. I know that was the first single from your EP, which was
Yes.
released in May May this year, right?
Yes, yeah.
Cool. So what do you have like a date for the EP release?
I don't have a
Upcoming?
specific date. No, September.
That's all right. September.
Yeah.
Cool. So make sure that you check back into Arjuna's Bandcamp and SoundCloud, Spotify, all that jazz.
Yeah, Spotify. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure that you check that out for the EP, which will be coming around September. But before that, of course, you can check out Deep End, the single that was just played then on the various, like Spotify and all those sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
It's all on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. But for now, you're playing this weekend with Sam Cullen, right?
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about that gig. How did that come about?
Sam, I've known Sam for like a year or two, and just through music scene, and lovely dude and really talented. And he just hit me up for a gig, and he's just playing solo, so I'm playing solo as well. So firing these dudes and just going out by myself, getting paid. No, it's just a chill solo gig. It'll be different to this, so that's cool. So if you've heard this and you think, oh, I've heard him already, well, I'll be playing by myself.
Yeah.
So it's a different vibe.
Completely different kettle of fish. It's going to be a very cool experience seeing both you and Sam Cullen. And you've got Connor Moore on the lineup as well.
Yes, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big acoustic lineup that night. It's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, so whereabouts is that one?
That's a Caroline.
Caroline, cool. So make sure that you check out Arjuna Oakes tomorrow at Caroline from 8 p.m, I'm assuming, doors?
Yeah.
Cool. Check out from 8 p.m. tomorrow. But for now, thank you so much for coming in for this, The Active Live. Big thanks to NZIM Music for the segment and, of course, Orcon for the live room. And, we'll see you next week, everyone out there listening. Big thank you to Arjuna, our double Jameses, and our other Harri, who have been wonderful live room guests today on The Active Live.
Thank you.